It's time for Southern Kentucky's Great Outdoors on ESPN 1027 FM. Brought to you by Bowling Green Refrigeration, Heating and Cooling and Renegade Marine and Outdoor Center. With your host, Brian Webb. Also starring John Kirby and Sergeant Williams from Mohawk Outdoors. Josh Honeycutt from Real Tree Outdoors. Also made possible by Swagger Bipods, the Van Store Bowling Green and Glasgow. Your Can-Am headquarters. Introducing Pabst Beef Jerky. Our national sponsor, Big & J Long Range Attractants. Segments in part by Rockcastle Shooting Center, The Rock, and Renegade Marine, featuring Real Trees, Michael Pendley, Timber 2 Table Wild Game Recipes. Made possible by Outback Steakhouse, Bowling Green. And all phone interviews via the Linex of Bowling Green hotline. Get ready for all things outdoors. Here's your host, Brian Webb.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another show of Southern Kentucky's Great Outdoors here on ESPN 1027. Tonight on the line, just like we do every week, got him on the Linex hotline, Linex Bedliners, Roger Gina. Check them out, Louisville Road, Porter Pike. They'll take care of the bed of your truck. Deer season is here, so you're going to probably need that right now if you don't have it. But I got him. He's going to talk food and preparation and recipes. Our favorite, brought to you by Outback Steakhouse, right here in Bowling Green off the exit 22 on Scottsville Road. Walkabout Wednesdays. Every Wednesday, get one of two classic entrees plus fries and a cold draft or Coca-Cola for $10.99. You can't beat it. And right now, steak and unlimited shrimp still rolling. So you don't want to miss that. It could come down at any time. It's for a limited time. Tender, juicy steak paired with your choice of crispy shrimp or garlic herb butter. Available for a limited time, like we said, at Outback Steakhouse right here. Michael Pendley, Real Tree Outdoors, Timber to Table. Man, I tell you what, you got some good stuff for us today.
Hey, guys. We're kind of talking a family favorite today. It's kind of one of those dishes that everybody loves, kind of home style, home cooking, comfort food. So what we're doing today is a venison baked rigatoni.
Rigatoni.
It's just a simple meat sauce. We start out with browning our venison, ground venison, in a heavy pot. And I like to use shallot in this one instead of onion. It's just a little bit milder. You get a little bit of garlic flavor with it. Of course, we're going to add some garlic too. But I dice up about 2 or 3 shallots, and I'll cook them with the venison as it's browning. And once all the venison is cooked through, we'll brown it in a little bit of olive oil. Add a couple different tomatoes to it. One, I'll use a big can of crushed tomatoes, like a 28-ounce can, whatever brand you like. Get a good brand, so you got some good fresh tomato taste.
Yes.
Add that, and then I'll go in and I'll add a couple tablespoons of tomato paste. And that just gives it a little bit richer flavor. Makes it taste like the sauce is cooked a lot longer. You know, you can do this one pretty quick, about an hour total, so you can get it done on a weeknight if you need to. But that tomato paste in the sauce just gives it a little bit of a slow-cooked flavor. We'll add some garlic, get all that kind of simmering away pretty good. We'll add a little bit of dried rosemary, a little bit of thyme, or you can just get an Italian seasoning blend that's got everything in it, put that in there. We'll use a little oregano sometimes. And just simmer that for a little while, and then I'll take a handful of fresh basil leaves and kind of chop them up a little bit. I like pretty good sized basil chunks in there. I like basil in my sauce. So we'll throw that in there, and we'll let all that simmer a little bit. And while that's simmering, we'll cook some rigatoni. And it doesn't have to be rigatoni. It could be macaroni. It could be any pasta that you've got on the shelf. But you don't want to cook it all the way. You want to cook it till it's just soft. Still almost got just a little bit of crunch when you bite it. But just starting to get soft. And we'll take that pasta out, drain it. I use a big wire spider. A big slotted spoon works. Lift it out of the water, put it directly into your sauce. Stir all that up. If it's pretty thick, you want it fairly thin because it's going to bake for a little while. So if your sauce and pasta is still a little bit thick, take some of that water that you boiled the pasta in, salted water, and put it in the sauce until it's thin. We've got a pretty good, even consistency. Pour all of that into a baking dish top it with some fresh grated Parmesan cheese, and get the good stuff. Don't go with the green can if you can help it. Freshly grated is much better. And then some mozzarella. Put all that in the oven and let it bake for 30 minutes. It's cheesy, it's gooey.
Yes.
It's got lots of meat in it. It's rich tomato sauce. You throw that with a little bit of salad and some garlic bread, and it's a full meal, and it doesn't take that long to cook either. So,
man, that sounds like a one heck of a great night at the Pendley house. Passing that around with a spoon in it. Oh my goodness gracious, man. Next week we'll get back with you on another delectable dish, but I want to ask you before we let you go today here. You're listening to Michael Pendley, Timber to Table. Check him out at MickeyPenn70 on Twitter and Mickey Penn Eats on Instagram, or Realtree.com will get you anything you need to know with Timber to Table. Got all his recipes and some great pictures. Michael, if you had to pick one, let's take Kentucky small game out of it. Just going to ask you, what's your favorite cultural dish? I mean, from another culture. What do you go? What's your go-to?
I'm a big fan of really good tacos.
Oh, me too.
I'm not talking, like Taco Bell style tacos. I'm talking the Mexican street style tacos.
Yes.
Where they cook steak or pork or cuts of meat that you don't normally see.
So good.
Put that with some fresh tomato, a little bit of fresh onion, some cilantro.
Oh,
and that's one of my favorites.
Do you go sour cream or do you not?
I do. I'm a sour cream fan.
I am too. Do you do sour cream in your chili, Mike?
Yeah, I do. Sour cream, a little bit of cheddar cheese.
Oh, it's me too. I got to have some cheese in there. But I just, for some reason, no matter what it is, even if it's vegetable soup, my grandmother makes the absolute best vegetable soup ever made. But I still take like 38 saltines and crush them up. But I can't help it. I love it. I can't help it. I love saltines, man. And I'll tell you my favorite snack, pickled bologna with some saltines.
I like pickled bologna, and I like summer sausage with saltines.
Oh, no question. And
a little sharp cheddar, and
yes.
maybe a slice of jalapeno.
Oh, you got to have the jalapenos to go on there. I mean, that's just the best little. You don't have to be rich to serve hors d'oeuvres, man. We're just showing you. Take a toothpick, those combinations, put those on a platter. They'll think you're at a taping of General Hospital or something. That's how good that looks.
And they're pretty good at a deer stand too.
I guarantee it. I guarantee you they are. Might lure in that big buck too, smelling that good. That good pickled bologna. Hey, man, always a pleasure. Check him out. Michael Pendley, Timber to Table, man. We couldn't do it without you, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
Come right back. We're going to have the Renegade Marine and Fishing segment coming up with some fishing tips. I believe we may have Brad Bowles. I'm not sure. Don't go anywhere. This is Brian Webb, ESPN 1027.
Renegade Marine and Outdoor Center is known for its massive selection of boats. But right now, come to Renegade Marine for massive savings. Renegade's factory clearance sale is on now with savings up to $4,000 on select models. Don't sit there sizzling in the sun. Get on the lake in a Tracker, Nitro, Regency, or Sun Tracker from Renegade Marine with up to $4,000 in savings. We want to see you on the water with a smile. Renegade Marine and Outdoor Center, your authorized Tracker Marine boat dealer, just off the Western Kentucky Parkway, exit 107. Online at renegademarine.net.
Man, that looks rough. That one got whacked good.
Yeah, I do know I'm getting sick of cleaning it up.
But it's all about the pay in the long run, right?
Yeah, you're right, but it'd be easier to quicker to go out and take us to Line X of Bowling Green.
Well, in the end, it's all about getting those hogs delivered, right?
You're right, but it sure is a mess. Forget about it.
Keep your bed easy to clean with Line X of Bowling Green. Truck accessories and more. Line X of Bowling Green on Louisville Road, Porter Pike intersection.
This is Nate from Rock Castle Shooting Center. Did you know that one of the premier shooting ranges in the world is right here in South Central Kentucky? Rock Castle Shooting Center has something for everyone's recreational shooting enjoyment. From 3D archery to our brand new sporting clays course, handgun ranges full of steel to targets out to a mile. There's no better place to get some trigger time than Rock Castle Shooting Center. Non-members are welcome, and memberships start at $150 per year. We offer a fantastic range of firearms training and education opportunities from the most basic to the most advanced. Come see us, exit 48 on I-65, Park City, Kentucky. Visit rockcastleshootingcenter.com.
This is a Morgan & Morgan consumer message.
In choosing the law firm to represent you, pick a firm that's been around a long time. I've seen so many come and go. and pick a firm with the financial strength to give you the best chance to be fully compensated. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Whether it's a car crash case or an insurance dispute, you need a firm which can match the other side dollar for dollar. Let us fight for you. There's only one Morgan & Morgan. Offices Bowling Green.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
It's time to go fishing with Renegade Marine and Outdoor Center, 415 Commerce Drive, Litchfield, Kentucky, on SOKY's Great Outdoors.
Welcome back, everybody. SOKY's Great Outdoors, ESPN Radio. We have the one and only Brad Bowles on the line. Brad, what's happening, buddy?
Kirby, what's going on, brother?
I don't know it, man. I was hoping you knew.
You been cooking some back straps lately?
No, I haven't, but it's in the near future. It's in the works.
Man, that was an outstanding deer you killed. Congratulations on that, buddy.
Man, I really appreciate it, Brad. Yeah, it's a deer I've been watching all summer, so that always kind of adds to the fun and excitement when it's a deer you have history with and that you're after. You know how that goes.
Yeah, man. I tell you what, several guys are taking advantage of killing a good buck early.
Yep, no doubt. I've seen a lot of good deer killed despite the heat. I mean, it has been scorching out there, but, the deer still got to eat. They got to feed. They got to drink. So if you can stand it, it's definitely worth it to get out there, isn't it, Brad?
It is. It's funny. Every year I go through the same thing. I'm going to get out there early, but I get the very first evening I hunt, I burn up, and I'm sweating. I'm like, the heck with this. I'm waiting for cooler weather.
Exactly. Well, you've got plenty of company in that camp, too, because I've been there myself.
Yeah. Well, and then I just go back to fishing, which is what I've been doing. Actually, I got out on the water today and had a pretty good day on some crappie.
Sweet. Yeah, man, I'd love to hear about it.
Well, this time of year, the water temperature and all, it's still, we've got all this heat and everything, and it's the thermocline has been set up, and now it's starting to break down some. So
is it?
What I found today was I was able to locate fish in as shallow as 7 to 9 foot of water, and then I even caught fish as deep as 17, which, July and August with that heavy thermocline, you're not really going to, find many fish deep. So it gives you a good idea of, you can cover a lot more water, a lot different depths right now, and target those fish.
Absolutely, yeah. So the thermocline, I mean, that's not a bad thing, right? I mean, that's just eliminating a bunch of water for you right off the bat.
That's the name of the game, is eliminating water any time of year that you go fishing. And, the thermocline does just that, yeah. So the one thing that it enables you to do when it breaks up is you might have some brush piles that are deeper and located, so it gives you a few more, possibilities of where fish may be now.
Brad, if there was one crappie in the whole lake, you could find it.
I'd be out there looking for it.
You'd definitely die trying, that's for sure. You coming on today to give us a fishing report, and you guys are going to talk about the Kentucky Crappie Trail Barren River Lake Division. First tournament's coming up on the 5th, right?
Yeah, man, it's a new tournament season. Last year was the inaugural year for the Kentucky Crappie Trail, the Barren River Lake Division. For those who may not have heard of the Kentucky Crappie Trail, there's a division at several different lakes throughout the state. There's a Lake Cumberland division, a Taylorsville Lake division, a Rough No Lynn division, and, of course, Barren River Lake right here. So we had a good first year. We had several people get involved, but we're really wanting to get word out to see if we can increase participation and hopefully, have a lot more anglers show up for a good tournament. Correct?
We got a lot of crappie fishermen around. I mean, John, he's a big crappie fisherman when he ain't looking for them deers and writing his articles, but he's tied up, not getting to do as much, so I have no boat. I have to get in with you sometime, but not in a tournament. I'm not going to do that to my partner.
Well, tournament crappie fishing is gaining in popularity. It's not near as popular as what the bass fishing circuit realm is, but it's gaining a lot of ground. So, you weigh your 7 biggest fish. The way our tournament is set up, we call it a working man's tournament. All of us, we don't have the time to get out there and pre-fish 4 or 5 days before. This is just a laid-back, fun tournament. You show up, register from 6 to 6:30. Lines in the water at 7, lines out of the water at 1, so it's a 6-hour tournament. Come in and weigh your biggest 7 fish, and usually pays a first, second, third place prize and a prize for big fish.
Do you get disqualified if you start shoving rocks down their throat?
Yeah, you probably would get disqualified for that. Yeah,
Brad Bowles better not see that. You might be going up. You'd be at Riker Island for a week. And
I'm just kidding.
Catch a ride in that green truck of Brad's by doing that. But it is good to see, Brad, that crappie fishing's crappie tournament fishing is kind of making that comeback. You know, for years it was just pretty much crappie masters, right? If you wanted to fish a crappie tournament, that was pretty much the only gig, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. You know, for the longest time. You know, of course, crappie masters with you got Crappie USA, and now the American Crappie Trail as well. So, you know, there's several states, though, that run their own state crappie tournament series. Like there's the Magnolia Crappie Trail down in Mississippi. I think Missouri has their own. Several states are following that same type of format. So it's good to see Kentucky be able to step up to the plate and do this as well. Now, you don't have to just fish Barren River Lake. You can go to some of the other lakes. If you live close to Nolin or Rough River, you want to fish up there, you can fish as many of these events as you want.
Being a responsible fisherman and being an ethical and legal fisherman aside, what is your top tips and advice for somebody who's never fished in a tournament before? You know, what's your best tips for the new guy or new girl out there who don't know anything about it?
That's an outstanding question, because I think a lot of people are out there listening to this and they're like, you know, I wouldn't mind fishing a tournament, but maybe they're a little bit intimidated. And I'm not, you know, I don't know as much, or I can't get out there and compete with these guys. Don't be intimidated by that at all. These tournaments are a good opportunity for you to network, meet some other fishermen, and learn some tips, techniques, and things that will make you a better angler as well. So that's the biggest thing, is just not be intimidated and just get out there and, learn every time you're on the water.
Yeah, and like you said, too, Brad, you alluded to meeting new people and getting to know them, and maybe even finding a mentor, you know, that can kind of show you some things, which we all know is hugely important in the outdoors. Having a good mentor that can really kind of cut that learning curve, can it?
It really is. Say enough. Where I'm at today as an angler is directly attributed to being able to fish alongside of some very, very good fishermen, and I was like a sponge every time I was in the boat with them.
Absolutely, and that's why you're as good a fisherman as you are. I think that really holds true for all the outdoors, hunting, fishing. Finding a good mentor, just a great way to do it. You can cut that learning curve and learn from people that have been doing it for so long. But kind of going back to the tournaments, Brad, crappie fishing tournaments, the series that you're speaking of, it's probably a little cheaper, maybe. Am I right to enter those in maybe a bass tournament?
Yeah, it's starting new this year. We are requiring that you actually become a member of the Kentucky Crappie Trail. So there is a $20 membership fee, and that membership fee, it'll go to prizes, giveaways. I'm sorry, not prizes, but some giveaways and some minor operating costs. Then each tournament is $60 entry fee per boat. But, that gives the first and second place angler, third place angler, a pretty good purse at the end of the day, because it's a 100% payback on that.
That's awesome, Brad. What kind of going back to the fishing report too? What's kind of going on at Barren right now on the crappie front, and maybe if you've heard any good stuff about bass too?
Well, I think it's all relative to if you can get on that good spot. You've got to cover water this time of year as usual. Be prepared to do that. If you lock into a certain depth and a certain place, you're probably not going to be as productive. But if you move a lot, you fish enough brush piles, you're going to find some crappie. Early in the morning is typically your best bite. I'm still fishing just a Bobby Garland soft plastic. I've had a lot of luck with this new itty bitty. It's a small jig on a 48-ounce jig head. So I found that by downsizing in this heat of the summer, it's given me a few more productive bites.
Yeah, that sounds great, and probably just really slowing that presentation too down with this heat, Brad. Probably kind of important at times, I would imagine.
Yeah, the fish are going to feed, but they don't. A lot of times the hot heat of the summer, the fish kind of are lethargic, just like they are in the cold of the winter. So downsizing your presentation, I throw everything at them, and I'm going to, if I can't get them to bite, then I'm going to downsize every time. Yeah,
I think what you said, too, was key, Brad, about not getting married to a spot or a depth. or even a color. Just being willing to try anything, throw anything you got at them. You're eventually going to find them that way. I think that's pretty key what you said there.
Well, and it's held true for me this summer anyway, and those you'll have a few locations that tend to always hold some fish, but those fish are moving a lot too because there's so much shad in the lake, and those shad schools are moving too.
Brad,
that's another big tip I would tell anybody is if you're not seeing shad in the area that you're fishing, it's probably not going to be real productive for crappie.
Yeah.
So, forgive me, because it's probably a stupid question, but is Barron completely turned over now?
It has started to, and the water temperature was 82 degrees today, and like I said, I think that process of that thermocline breaking down is a result of that.
Gotcha.
So with some cooler weather, it's probably going to be it's not just happens in 24 hours. It's kind of a process.
Brad, before we let you go, man, I wanted to make sure we got it out there correctly. The Facebook page for Kentucky Crappie Trail is where they need to go if they need some information. There's phone numbers on there. There's emails, right?
There is. There's actually a website, a Kentucky Crappie Trail website, where you can pre-register for your tournaments. The rules are actually listed there on the website as well. Each lake division schedule is already set up for the whole 2019-2020 season. Our first tournament is going to be Saturday, October 5th. So we want to encourage anyone who's entertained the idea of fishing a crappie tournament, come on out and join us. We look forward to meeting you and having a good time on the water.
The thing I love about crappie tournaments is you don't have to go down to the bank and turn them loose. You take them home and eat them.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Hey, Brad, too, real quick, I wanted to ask you, we've had some weird springs the last few years. How did, in your eyes, the crappie spawn go this year?
What I'm seeing so far is that it looks like we're still going to have a pretty good spawn. Now, I'm interested to see our fisheries guys who do such an awesome job on the water are planning on doing a trap net study on Barron River specifically this fall, and that'll let them sample the young fry, and they'll get a better idea. Because you're right, we've had high water the past two springs, and it's just amazing. The fish could get in there and spawn anywhere with the high water and then pulling it all the time.
Isn't that the truth? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We don't Absolutely. Want to. I know one person that don't want to see the depletion of the crappie species, and Barron, that'd be Brad Bowles that we got on the line.
Absolutely. It's in pretty good shape. You know, what's really good about Barron is we've got a good number of black and white crappie in the lake. So good numbers of crappie I've found this spring, summer. And the other plus to that, though, John, is not many people have put the pressure on them in the spring because the lake was a wreck. So I think what you're seeing right now is a lot bigger fish than what Barron is accustomed to producing. At least that's what I'm seeing.
That's a great point, Brad. I hadn't even thought about the flip side of that coin, about not getting pressured as much. Great point. Also, too, I wanted to ask you, Barron has really become a great crappie lake. It seems like over the last 7, 8, 9, 10 years, it's really kind of come into its own. Have you kind of seen that progression as well?
You know, I have. I laughed. My tournament fishing partner, Dean McCoy, which you all know, he's been on the show.
Dino
used to always go to Kentucky Lake because Barron just, I could catch crappie there, but they were small, and man, that's really changed. I think the shad population, these crappie are healthy. We've got a good, healthy population of crappie in the lake. And it'll, pair up with any lake in the state as far as size, numbers, and quality.
Well, Brad, you pair up pretty well with anybody else in your industry, man. We appreciate what you do every day on a day-to-day basis. And you're also an outdoorsman. So two different reasons right there, combining two worlds. And I'll tell you, we hope to see you do it for many years to come, my friend, and we enjoy having you on here.
Guys, I appreciate y'all a whole bunch. You know that, and we always look forward to seeing you all and talking with you all. Love what you all do, too, for the outdoors, promoting everything.
We're all on the same team, ain't we, buddy?
Absolutely.
Well, man, I was going to chat with you, ask you maybe about dove season. We'll save that for the next conversation and see what you're getting into. But good luck October 5th. It's not real fair when Brad Bowles is in there.
No,
ringer.
Plenty fair.
That's right.
Plenty fair. Trust me. We've got some really good anglers that it's going to be tough this year.
That's like me. That's like
good
me getting in the
competition.
ring with Butterbean, John.
Yeah. After he knocks him out, Brian will get up and ask if Butterbean was okay.
Brad, I cut you off there. What was your final thought, man?
I was just going to tell Kirby, man, since you've killed a deer, come on out and fish the crappie.
Good point.
Man, I would love to, Brad. I really would. But I'm afraid to get whooped by you too bad. So
and he's a working man now, so he's got to go back to videoing and watching these other guys kill theirs now.
I hear you.
And write a good story about it.
Thank you so much again, and y'all have a good evening now, okay?
Same here, Brad Bowles. Check him out. Follow him on Facebook, man. He does a lot of fishing stuff on Facebook as well. And we're going to take a break here. We're going to pay some sponsors. We're going to come on back. That was the Renegade Marine and Outdoor Fishing segment. We're going to come back with the Rock Castle Hunting segment, which is featured tonight. I love it when we have guests, but I don't love it as much when it's Josh and John rambling on. So we're going to find out what some cool things they got to talk about are. Coming up after the break, Southern Kentucky's Great Outdoors, ESPN 1027.
Fantasy football season is here, and everyone knows the top pick this season, Buffalo Wild Wings of Bowling Green's VIP Lounge. Don't spend another draft party packed around Kevin's smelly couch. Hey. Sorry, Kev. Feel like the championship GM you are with private TVs, couches, and a private tap for some draft beers for every draft pick. Then on game day, get back to Buffalo Wild Wings for pitcher and food deals because, once again, Kevin's smelly couch. Hey. You got a problem, dude. Buffalo Wild Wings of Bowling Green, 2545 Scottsville Road.
The home you've dreamed of is coming to life now at Northridge Subdivision off Mormon Lane in Bowling Green. New phases opening now, new homes under construction, and another development coming from J. Allen Builders. Imagine you and your family in an affordably priced home starting in the 150s. Homeowners Association and family friendly. A Northridge Subdivision's home from J. Allen Builders Development could be your perfect first home. Call now for more information, 270-781-5023.
Okay, I'm on 65 right now. Which exit do I take?
You're going to want to take I-165.
No, I'm on I-65.
No, take I-165. Should be on the sign.
I'm pretty sure that's not a 1 there. I'm pretty sure that's just another I. I-65?
Aye. Well, ahoy, Polloy.
Look, I'm looking at it. I just don't see a 1 there. It's just I-6.
Suffering from post-natural confusion? See Gary Force Paint and Body Shop. iCar Gold Shop, certified with a lifetime warranty. 311 Vanderbilt Drive behind the Scottsville Road Post Office.
In stores now, Pabst Grippo's Beef Jerky. We have taken the great Pabst Beef Jerky and married it with the iconic Grippo's Barbecue Seasoning. This is a marriage made in beef jerky heaven. The thin cut of Pabst Beef Jerky is dusted to perfection with Grippo's Seasoning. Once you try it, you will know no other beef jerky compares. So the next time you're headed on a road trip to the lake or your favorite golf course, be sure to have Pabst Beef Jerky fueling your outdoor lifestyle. PabstJerky.com. Ask for us at your local store.
The hunting in East Beverly Hills getting sorry every day. Me and Duke went as far back in the brush as you could go. The only thing we flushed out was a couple of real estate agents.
It's time to do some hunting on SOKY's Great Outdoors, brought to you by Rock Castle Shooting Center at Park Mammoth Resort, 22850 Louisville Road in Park City, Kentucky.
Welcome back to Southern Kentucky's Great Outdoors hunting segment time, and I tell you, John Kirby off to a big-time start. Josh Honeycutt in the studio as well. He's still going to – he's waiting for the right one, aren't you, Josh?
Yeah, that's what we'll go with.
Josh is on a what? How many year streak is it that you've killed an early season buck?
I think 4.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty incredible. That speaks for itself. These early season deer, you either have a pattern or you don't. You're either all the way on or you're all the way off, and there's really no in between. And I was just fortunate to have one of those patterns, a deer that was killable, a deer I was able to make a move on without screwing it up, without busting him out of there, and that's just how I was able to do it. And if a guy or gal out there listening, if you don't have an early season pattern, it's awful easy to just kind of go in there and hoping for the best and end up doing more harm than good, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Congrats on a great deer. That was just a true buck of a lifetime that you had there. But tell us a little bit about, some of the tactical nuggets that you can pull out of that hunt, and really maybe help some of the listeners out there, and maybe they can take something away from that great hunt you had last week.
Well, I appreciate it, Josh. Yeah, and I kind of approached this farm this year old school, kind of the way we used to do it when I was hunting with my grandfather as a kid. I didn't use trail cameras. By the time I realized I was gonna hunt this farm, it was a little late in the summer. I didn't want to go in there and pressure deer and put trail cameras where they needed to be to get me usable intel. So I really just kind of sat back, was super non-aggressive. I would glass from a distance. I would use several different entry routes. I would actually get dropped off on a roadway and access this farm from a way that it's never been accessed before. And I was doing that just to keep my human presence down. And I was able to utilize initially this buck was bedded right on the freeway. He kind of transitioned a couple of weeks before the season, and I was able to kind of stay on top of what he was doing. And I was able to utilize not only the major highway that goes down this road, I was utilizing the noise that it makes to creep in there closer to his bedding, for one. And entry is not a problem when you're hunting crops like that, Josh. Nobody knows that better than you. In the evening, hunting crops, entry is not the problem, it's exit. And that's what I was always worried about. So I was also able to utilize the river bank to make my exit. So I was able to get in there and hunt this deer without pressuring him, and that was the key right there.
Yeah, just a great setup, great situation. And it's interesting. Every deer hunting situation is different. No two are the same. Like I said, I was able to take 4 early season deer in the last 4 years, and every single one of those were different scenarios and completely independent and unique from one another. But there's always something, even though the situation might be different, there's always something that we can pull out of those hunts, something we can learn from those hunts and apply to future seasons. And that's definitely, I think, a lot of good things that you just mentioned that you'll be able to use for future years, and hopefully a lot of our listeners will be able to take something away from that and apply it to their hunts, not only this year but in future seasons as well, too.
Yeah, great point, Josh. And another thing I did was I utilized the observation stands. While I was kind of in the game on a couple of afternoons, I felt like I was in the game anyway, had a slight chance of maybe closing the distance on this deer. I was kind of using those stands as observation stands also, just really pinpointing exactly what this deer was doing. You and I talk a lot about observation stands. They're great early season because a lot of times early season velvet deer, when you see a buck do one thing on a Monday night, there's a pretty good chance he might do that on a Tuesday night, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you tell the listeners that maybe they don't have an early season pattern now, or maybe they haven't altogether? That happens too. What do you tell the hunters out there? What's your advice?
Yeah, no. In my opinion, and this is something that I've done in past years, personally, my goal is to establish summer patterns and really focus on those summer patterns for the first 2 weeks of the season or however long they last. And that can be different from deer to deer and from year to year.
And from farm to farm.
And from farm to farm. So, that's personally what I like to do. Then when those patterns start changing, it takes time to refigure out those deer. So a lot of the times in past years, and it's probably going to be my plan this year too, is I'm probably not going to hunt very much from now until early to mid-October. Unless I just get the perfect situation, if I do home in on a pattern, or if I think, because I do have certain stand locations that's good historically. Certain stand locations I think are still going to be good even though patterns are starting to change. I really only have 2 of those stands right now, stand locations that I would potentially hunt in the next 2 to 3 weeks. But, more times than not, and what my plan is for this season is to just hold up and not really hunt much between now and mid-October, and I'm just going to spend the next couple of weeks relearning the properties, figuring out where the deer have transitioned to, basically because they're transitioning to their fall ranges if they haven't already, and that's where they're going to spend the pre-rut and rut more likely than not.
Absolutely. So some deer that you've been watching all summer, monitoring either glassing or through trail cameras, have transitioned into that fall range, so you very well could lose track of a buck or two. The flip side of that coin, you can pick up a buck or two as well. I think it's key what you said about backing out and not really hunting a lot these next few weeks. I think to a lot of hunters that sounds counterintuitive, right? You think a hunter, man, go in there, get the job done, but you're being very smart and surgical about it, backing out and wait until you have a pattern that you think you have the best odds to go in there and get the job done.
Yeah, and I need to listen to my own advice because there was a couple sits in the last week or so that I kind of forced myself, and and honestly, nothing good came of it. So it's easy to do. It's easy to get out there and hunt even though it's against your better judgment. But it's honestly it's gonna help you in the long run, and it's probably gonna certainly put less pressure on the herd. And then once you've got a solid pattern and you've relearned those deer and you've refigured them out, you can definitely still have plenty of time to move in before the rut drives them crazy and starts making them do wild things. Because even though the early season we spend time trying to figure out what these patterns during the summer for that first week to 2 weeks of the season, that same concept applies to the pre-rut, which in my mind is primarily the last 2 weeks, maybe the first few days of November. Deer are still going to be on patterns then as well. I don't like those patterns quite as much as I like early season patterns, but they're still patterns. And, the same concept applies. You're just having to relearn where those deer have moved to, if they have, and determining what those new patterns actually are. So, like I said, that's going to be my goal for the next 2 to 3 weeks. And I might move in and slip in if I get the right circumstances, the right wind directions for a couple different stand locations that I still have pretty good faith in for the next couple weeks. But that's probably, even if I do that, it's going to be fairly limited.
Yeah, man, great stuff there, Josh. And I think I want to just say quickly, as hunters, we're always looking to gain access to new land. We don't want to be greedy and have a million places. But as hunters, you want to have options, right? And the more options you have this time of year, if one farm's dead or a couple of farms are dead, having those extra few options sometimes can really lend itself well to hunting. And what you're saying about backing off these next few weeks, kind of walk us through a little bit about what you're going to be doing, checking trail cameras, any land improvement, what all are you doing?
Yeah, really the main thing for me when it comes to transition and figuring out what those patterns are is, I've hunted these properties, most of them. There's a couple properties that I've just started hunting this year, but for the most part, I know the properties pretty well, and I'm kind of transitioning my cameras to areas, pre-rut spots, and I may not, I probably won't move very many of them, but I'll move some of them. But the main thing is where I've been running trail cameras on mineral licks all summer long. I'm going to be transitioning those cameras to mock scrapes or real existing scrapes that I find. So, that's kind of how I take inventory from from now until the rut and through the rut. That's my personal favorite. There's plenty of options out there. You can put them on a corn pile, you can put them on a water hole, and I still do a lot of water hole stuff too. But, from now on through the rest of the season, I'm going to be taking my trail camera inventory on scrapes and water holes. And I'll also put them on trails. I like putting cameras on inside corners, outside corners, anywhere there's a corner, preferably inside corners, inside field edges. I still use those quite a bit throughout the remainder of the season. But that's what I'm going to be doing for the next couple of weeks, and hopefully I'll have all of that in place and finished by the first couple days of October, and then I can back out and not do anything. And like you said, it's good to let your properties rest. And the couple of stand locations I was talking about, that's two different. That's basically one stand location on two different properties that I might hunt in the next couple of weeks, and it will have to be perfect situation, and I'll have to have really good confidence that I'll see a good deer in those locations to do that. But for the most part, we're letting the other 2 to 3 properties that we hunt, we're letting those rest, and we won't hunt those at all until probably the last week, maybe the third week of October.
Yeah, man, that's a really smart plan, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I feel like that you're going to feel the same. Going in and doing these mock scrapes and anything like that, you're still being as low impact as possible. Getting in there midday, you definitely don't want to go in there and coincide that with regular deer movement times. You're being as low impact as possible, right?
Yeah. Even during the pre-rut and rut and late season, all of my cameras, I keep them on the fringes. I don't put them back in the timber. They're on field edges, or at the most, they're in a staging area. But even those locations are fairly close to the edge. And honestly, whenever I'm doing that, on the private properties that I hunt, I am basically driving up to those camera locations and checking them from my truck door window, or I'm driving up to them with a four-wheeler and checking them off the back of the four-wheeler. And that way I don't ever have to put my feet on the ground. And that's obviously low impact. These properties are ag they're agricultural producing properties. They're used to the farmer being in there, driving those field edges and going around the perimeters of those properties. And so, the deer don't really think anything about it. At least I don't think they do. Whenever you drive in there with a truck or drive in there with a four-wheeler or a tractor or something that they're used to, they're not going to think a second thing about it.
Yeah.
Deer don't really key on some of the things that we think they do. As long as it's normal for them to hear that, they're not going to think a thing about it. But as soon as you drive up into that timber, which that farmer never goes into with his four-wheeler, then that light bulb's going to go off and it's going to click, and they're like, oh, well, that's different.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great point. And kind of talking about these mock scrapes, too, both you and I are huge proponents of mock scrapes. I personally like to, a lot of times, put mock scrapes in areas where traditionally I have found scrapes before. That's a pretty good tactic. But let's talk about let's talk about actually putting in licking branches in a field where there's not a tree, there is no access to licking branches. Talk a little bit about doing that and what that can do for you.
Yeah, that's something that you and I are both going to be doing more of this year. In the past, I have planted scrape trees where I just go cut a tree, or I plant a live tree in a location where I want deer to scrape. But something that me and you are both going to try for the first time this year, and we have to credit Midwest Whitetails Owen Riegler for it's really his idea and his concept, the way he does it. But something we're going to do this year is take 5 to 6 inch in diameter cedar poles that are about 6 to 7 foot long. We're going to dig holes in the ground, put them in the ground, cement them in, and then you'll drill a hole in the top of that cedar post, and that way you can fit a limb in there and screw that limb in there. And some people will use untreated 4x4s or untreated 6x6s. I prefer to use those cedar poles that we've cut from live cedar trees, because not only will you get that scrape action under that limb, but you're also more likely to get some rub action on those trees.
Exactly.
If they're cedar and not a natural something that's already ran through a mill.
Right, and this tactic is probably not new. I just think Owen has perfected it. I've seen a lot of people do it with just T-posts even, and hang a branch off of that, but you're not going to get that rub activity that you're going to get when you use something like cedar, that they have a propensity to rub anyway.
For sure. And, we were talking about, even doing that, whenever we put these in here in the next couple of weeks, both here at home and in Ohio, we were talking about how we're going to do that low impact as well. So talk a little bit about how we're going to do that and what we're going to do to make sure that even though it's not really a high impact thing, because we're going to keep those on the fringes as well, talk a little bit about what we're going to do to limit that pressure.
Yeah, well, going in midday, we absolutely don't want to go in there early morning or late evening when normal deer activity, normal deer movement's happening anyway. And the best thing to do, and I do this checking trail cameras, I do it on bait sites where I'm taking inventory. I will drive in on a four-wheeler or a truck even, and like Josh said last night, he will actually crawl out of the cab of his truck, step on the back tire, and hop into the back of the truck and actually put in a licking branch that way without even putting foot on the ground, and that's just being as low impact as possible, right?
Yeah, for sure, and that's definitely something I think that we can all do, both what we're going to try to do and the listeners out there. If you're going to attempt to do that and try to do that, I would definitely do it by the end of the month. I would have those in place before October 1st. Not to say that you can't do it after that, but as these bucks start transitioning into their fall ranges, if they haven't already, you really want to have those in place before they do that. And obviously, if you put it in sooner, you're going to start getting, more pictures, and you're going to be able to take inventory sooner. But it's also going to give deer more time to get used to it. I don't think that's something that deer, quote unquote, have to get used to, though, like it would be a ground blind or anything like that. I think deer,
or a big feeder, yeah,
right. I think deer naturally gravitate to that type thing.
Yeah.
Because there are certain things that deer won't gravitate to. It's repulsive to a deer, like a ground blind that's not brushed in well. But I think that's something that actually draws the attention of deer. So, but I would definitely, either way, I would definitely get it done by the end of the month.
Yeah, and let's talk about a few of the reasons why we're doing this in the first place. Obviously, it's a great way to hang a trail camera on there and get some inventory of bucks that are using that property. But there's also some side benefits that might not be as glaringly obvious, like just for instance, say you've got a cruising buck that's crossing through this field out of bow range. If you have that mock scrape there with a licking branch set up, you've got a lot better chance of getting that buck where you want him as opposed to him just cruising.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great point. And also, when you're doing these, make sure you think about it and think it through and do it with a purpose. You want to make sure that you place that in a manner that it's not only going to draw those deer within range, but it's also going to position them for the shot.
Yep.
So you want to make sure that licking branch is not pointed directly back towards your stand location.
Great point. Yep.
But you want to kind of put it at like a 45-degree angle. That, you don't want it pointing directly away from your stand, because then the deer's going to look, walk straight in and he's going to be looking at you.
Exactly.
You don't want it pointing directly towards the stand, because then the deer's butt's going to be facing you, and we don't like Texas heart shots around here.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that it's either perpendicular or at the very least a 45-degree angle. That way you get a nice broadside or quarter-and-away shot.
And that's a great point, and it holds true for decoys too. I love using decoys. It's something I haven't done as much of the last few years, but I used to do it a lot. I love it. Man, I just have too much to carry into the woods these days to carry a decoy too. But if you can do that, get a decoy out there, and let's just say a buck decoy, you're running a buck decoy, you can do the same type of strategy there. You can kind of run traffic with a deer. 9 times out of 10, an approaching buck is going to face that other buck head on. And so you can really kind of set a shot up by doing that.
Yeah, and it won't be long before decoys start getting good. I would say within the next, about the second week of October, I wouldn't hesitate to use a decoy. So that'll be here before we know it, too.
Absolutely. Good time to be a hunter, right? It's that time of year.
Yes, sir, and congratulations again on that big velvet whitetail you killed last week.
I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Blessed.
It was awesome. We're going to talk to JD after the break. He also bagged a big elk in Montana, didn't he?
Yeah, man, what a stud he killed. It does not surprise me a bit, man. JD gets the job done wherever he goes.
He's lucky, too. You got a little bit of luck.
Yeah, I think you got to have a little luck as a hunter. There's no question. Luck's been on my side a few times. Sometimes you're the bugs, sometimes you're the windshield. Yeah. I seem to be the bug a lot, but being the windshield's nice.
Well, as good as you guys are at sneaking up on deers, do you think you could sneak in the house at like 2 a.m. without your wives knowing?
Yeah, because mine sleeps like a rock and snores
Mine too.
Dude, I tell you,
I could throw a house party downstairs, I think, if I wanted to.
I wish we had it. Gonna be in the house party.
I hope she's not listening, because if she is, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, and I might be sleeping in the doghouse.
Yeah,
tonight,
they know we're just playing.
Yeah.
If you're like me, or you can't keep both eyelids open past 9:30, so it's not like I'm going sneaking anywhere.
I can literally hear a mouse pass gas 2 lots over. That's how light I sleep.
Can you give us the play-by-play of how that sounds?
No, not on air.
Is it a small? I wonder how that works out. Anyways, we're going to come back talk to our man J.D. Williams, who's been on the trail of late. Haven't had him in the studio in a couple of weeks, so it'll be nice to hang out with him. American Hero coming up right after the break. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Southern Kentucky's Great Outdoors.
Hey, it's Nick Noble with the Rockcastle Gun Show here. We're talking about Swagger bipods. Do you want just your average barrel rest, or do you want to shoot with some swagger? Introducing the Swagger bipods. They expand your shooting zone with Swagger, the all-terrain hunting bipod. After more than 100 years, finally shooters have a bipod with patented, flexible, hyper-extending telescopic legs that give you the agility like never before. So get rid of stiff legs and get the bipod with infinite maneuverability. Swagger, the bipod that moves.
When Poston Electronics opened in Bowling Green back in 1974, it sounded more like this.
Turn it up, man!
Now Poston is as legendary as the artists Southern Kentuckians pumped through the speakers they've bought there for the last 45 years. Poston is everything audio with top brands like JP Audio and Alpine. From home theaters, boats, motorcycles, side-by-sides, custom work, installation, service, or sales, Poston still has the sound. Turn it up, man. Poston Electronics, across from Firestone on Broadway Avenue.
Earl, where in the Sam Hill have you been? I called you an hour ago.
Luann, I had to load the boat and stop for some soda pops.
Well, I'm sure glad you're including me in your priorities. They are still not working. Now the chair is stuck to my hind end, Earl. That is not funny. If I don't get this chair loose, it's liable to ruin my new, fun, summer shorty shorts.
All right. Get in the bed of the truck.
What?
I'll take you to...
No.
You can't fit in the cab with that chair stuck to your backside, Luann.
This is ridiculous.
The doctor will see you now.
What seems to be the problem?
Well, obviously this chair is stuck to my fanny.
Actually, I've seen this before. It's called sticky chair. First thing, you must turn to the experts at Bowling Green Refrigeration, Heating, and Cooling for your carrier unit.
Ours is one of them others.
Don't worry, they serve as carrier and all other brands. Now, Earl, if you lend me a hand, let's get this chair.
Hold still, Luann. 1, 2...
Ouch!
Sweat, combined with furniture, can cause sticky chair. Take preventative measures now with Bowling Green Refrigeration, Heating, and Cooling. Servicing Carrier and all others. 270-782-5391.
The Vance Store has in stock today the Liberty Zero-Turn Mower by Skag. The Liberty Zero-Turn Mower by Skag is available at a cut size as small as a 36-inch and as large as a 61-inch. You can buy a 36-inch Skag Liberty Zero-Turn Mower for as low as $39.99.99. You can buy a 61-inch Skag Liberty for as low as $52.99.99. Can you believe it? A 61-inch Skag Zero-Turn Mower for $52.99.99. Get a 5-year warranty, too. Come see the Vance Store for a Skag Zero-Turn Mower and get the mower that is simply the best.
This is Nate from Rock Castle Shooting Center. Did you know that one of the premier shooting ranges in the world is right here in South Central Kentucky? Rock Castle Shooting Center has something for everyone's recreational shooting enjoyment. From 3D archery to our brand new sporting clays course, handgun ranges full of steel to targets out to a mile. There's no better place to get some trigger time than Rock Castle Shooting Center. Non-members are welcome, and memberships start at $150 per year. We offer a fantastic range of firearms training and education opportunities from the most basic to the most advanced. Come see us, exit 48 on I-65, Park City, Kentucky. Visit rockcastleshootingcenter.com.
In Straya, we are a land of plenty. We've got plenty of things to keep you Yanks awake at night, like snakes, dingoes, and unlimited spiders as big as your head roaming the outback. Fortunately, Outback Steakhouse at Bowling Green's got a better unlimited steak and unlimited shrimp. Stop on by and grab your favorite juicy steak off the menu and get ready for all the crispy shrimp or garlic herb butter shrimp your stomach can handle. But you might want to leave a little room for dessert with their new chocolate tower. Outback Steakhouse at Bowling Green. Order online at outback.com.
I am Southern Kentucky Great Outdoors. I am your Spirit of the Wild, my brother. God bless America. God bless Kentucky. God bless working hard, playing hard American families in the asset column. We are blood brothers.
Welcome back. Southern Kentucky's Great Outdoors. The only Southern Kentucky's Great Outdoors out there. And we're going to have you on the Line X hotline here in just a second. But before we do, you guys know Pabst Beef Jerky is our sponsor, and it is the best. Low carb, keto friendly. It's just an awesome, awesome snack, especially when you're out on the boat or out in the woods. Fueling your outdoor lifestyle. PabstJerky.com. Buy in bulk. That's what I do. We're back, and we've got the one and only American hero, our own J.D. Williams, the Sarge, we call him. Just got a big elk in Montana. What's going on, man?
Hey, guys.
What's happening, brother? What state did you kill that elk in?
South Dakota.
South
Dakota,
Dakota,
that's right.
yeah,
You're
that's
right.
what I
I've
was
been
thinking.
saying that. My bad. Thanks, John.
No.
Over in the mountains.
You're breaking up a little.
JD,
buddy.
we're gonna call you right back. All right, hang tight. I don't know. We got a bad connection there. Yeah, my bad. Thanks for correcting me on that. I've said that like 5 times.
No,
but it
no
is
worries.
South Dakota, right? And what else is in South Dakota? Not much. The oil refinery or something up there.
There's a lot of wild game there. I can.
Is that a good
promise you
spot?
that. Oh, absolutely. Whitetails, muleys, elk,
No kidding.
antelope. Yeah, it's a hunter's paradise.
I like it.
I'm looking forward to hearing JD's experience. I saw some pictures, and I'm sure you all saw the same ones. But what beautiful country it is out there.
JD, you got us back, buddy?
Yeah, I got you guys
Oh,
back.
much better. Crystal
Am I loud
clear.
and clear?
Loud and clear,
Loud
buddy.
and clear. 10-4.
Tell us about the hunt, man. What all went down? It was an awesome bull elk, by the way.
Thank you, guys. It was so I got on a management hunt in South Dakota with my good buddy Wayne Munt, another Screaming Eagle from the 101st Airborne Division. His son Nick Munt is on the show, Bone Collector. So we had some of the crew up there, and I was pretty excited to get away from this heat that we've been experiencing here in Kentucky, and got up there, and it was a little cooler, not too much cooler though. And first morning we got out and just really scouting out the areas, and saw, I don't know, it was probably 5,000 elk. The first day, just trying to scout and find a good old mature bull, and we happened to be glassing that evening, and there was a whole herd of elk running underneath us about 200 yards, and it was just kind of hard to get a shot on any of those bulls. There were so many cows surrounding them, and really cool, all bugling as they ran by. And I happened to be looking way up on top of this mountain and saw 5 elk coming down off this mountain and started glassing them, and noticed my bull in that group, and was just, I was like, my guy, I was like, what do you think of him? And he goes, as soon as that bull comes down, we're going to shoot that bull. He's a good one. And where we were located, it was kind of hard to actually move in on them, so we ended up waiting for them they ended up going into a waller, and we had a river and a lake between us, and we were trying to figure out a way to get to them, so we just kind of made our way to the edge of this river, and my guy started cow calling, and we didn't know if this plan would even work out, and he told me it was going to be a poke if, it was going to be a long poke if it did work out, and all of a sudden a cow stepped out, and another cow stepped out, and a couple of raghorns, and the very last one to pop out of this draw was my bull elk, and my adrenaline started kicking in like a crazy son of a gun, and got the crosshairs on him, and touched the trigger off, and just made a perfect quarter shot on him. Watching him go bow leg on me, and he's still standing there. And one of my experience on elk is you keep shooting them until they go down, and so I jacked another round in as quickly as I could, and got the crosshairs on him, and was just waiting to see what he was going to do, and he didn't take a step. He kind of rocked from one side and then rocked to the other and tipped over, and then we had about a 45-minute drive to get all the way around to where he was located, and it was a bull of a lifetime.
That's awesome, JD. I saw some video that you guys took, or your cameraman took. I'm not sure who, but it looked like, to me, were those bulls rutting pretty good? I saw some bulls chasing pretty hard.
It was the most beautiful setting I've ever seen for elk. One of my favorite sounds in the world is an elk bugle, and there was just tons of bugling. I mean, we'd be up on one mountain range hearing elk bugles, miles away, and it was just some of the most active bugling I've seen in my entire life.
Man, that's incredible, JD. What was your elk? What did it end up weighing? Do you all have any idea?
He was right at 1,100 pounds.
Oh, wow. John almost nailed it. I asked him earlier, and he's like probably 1,000. He's like all over.
That's awesome.
So you drug that out by yourself, I'm sure.
That was the fun part. Anytime you harvest an elk, it's a lot of work afterwards. And we had 2 side-by-sides with us and a 4-wheeler with a flatbed trailer. And just so happened, one of the guys that were with us knocked down the biggest bull elk I've ever seen in my life, and just unreal, non-typical bull elk. And I got to partake in that little adventure right after I harvested my elk. But we had to cut quarter one in half, loaded in the back of a side-by-side, and the other half took up the other side of a side-by-side. And we loaded my elk up on the back of this flatbed trailer that this 4-wheeler was pulling, and we were worried about causing a forest fire because as we were moving out of there, the tires popped on the trailer, and it was just we come skidding back into camp, barely making it. They looked like me afterwards, no legs and an arm.
We got to have a poker night, man, because I need an elk steak bad.
Oh, that's a great idea. Nick Noble in the house, he can make that happen. Josh needs to make it to this one, though.
Oh yeah, well, congrats, JD, on a great bull, and I know that was a fun week for you.
The elk is definitely something very sentimental to me. Like just growing up hunting them up in Montana my whole life, and this is the 6th elk I've harvested since my injuries. And the first year I got injured, they were talking about how much I loved elk hunting, and this guy commented in a news article saying, "Looked like JD's elk hunting days were over," and I'd like to shake that guy's hand one day.
Yeah, JD said, "Hold my beer."
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'll show you, partner.
I love it, man, and I'm so glad you got to go out there and experience yet again what you grew up doing, man. I know elk to you is like whitetail to us here, and that's what you grew up doing. That's what you know, and we know that's what you love, man. We're proud of you.
It's definitely been a couple emotional weeks over here. Your 30th year harvesting that giant whitetail, and here in Kentucky, it was just amazing to see that, and then go over and harvest a giant elk. It's just been this is our year this year, and it's just been an amazing adventure so far.
It's
Well said.
Josh's turn now, isn't it?
Guarantee it.
Or maybe I'll catch a 7-pounder or something. Will that fit in all that scenario if I catch a 7-pounder? I got to go fishing first, though.
Absolutely.
If I catch a 7-pounder, it's a 4-pointer at the same time. That'd be really good.
I want to see you catch a 4-pointer.
I want to catch a 4-pointer. Hey, buddy, MohawkOutdoors.com. Check it out. Get on there and see what all JD does. You will not be unimpressed. You will be multi-impressed. You got a final thought there, John?
Yeah. Hey, JD. Man, I hate to even bring it up, but we know you lost somebody very special to you, and you dedicated this elk to him. Can you tell us just real quick about that?
Yes. Yeah. So, I was hunting. I just got back from the morning hunt, and my wife called me and told me a good buddy, Steve Williams, is at my house, and he drove all the way from Clarksville to, come tell me in person what happened. One of the guys that we had turkey hunting with us this year, a guy that I served with, near and dear to my heart. I got my highest medal I ever was awarded in the military, saving him in a really bad situation in Afghanistan, and I found out that he had passed away due to a heart attack in the middle of the night, and really, really broke my heart, and but made me focus more because I was like, I got to do this for my buddy.
Yep.
And it was tough talking to his parents. I got to talk to his mom and everybody, and I know him, John. He's a dang good friend of both of ours, and right now we're working on raising some funds to help pay for his funeral, and making sure the family's okay. And he had three little kids, and for the rest of my life, I'm gonna carry his name with pride. And I know he'd be proud of us right now doing what we're doing. His mom told me yesterday she was asking if all the proceeds. She wasn't really wanting the proceeds for her son's funeral. She was wanting what Cap would have wanted, and that was the funds to go to Mohawk Outdoors because we love Mohawk Outdoors. And
unbelievable.
Definitely broke my heart when she said that. And I'm still going to do everything I can to help her family out. And his 3 kids, and it's just the best tribute I could possibly give our good buddy Jared and his family by honoring him by harvesting this beautiful elk.
Well, he'd be so proud of you, man. And people can go to Mohawk Outdoors, right, and find the GoFundMe there if they want to donate. Please do. It's going to a very, very worthy cause.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for everything, and I look forward to getting in the woods with you guys and seeing what else we can make happen, seeing if we can make some more unforgettable memories, and got to get Josh on a big whitetail now.
That's right.
Absolutely.
As we like to say, JD, the best is yet to come, buddy. And
that's right.
Heart goes out to that family, and man, appreciate you. We love you, and we'll get you back in the studio here soon. You'll calm down here later on in the fall. We'll get you in here more, but we got to turn it over to Dr. Nick Noble. Rock Castle Gun Show coming up, JD. I know you love that. That's music to your ears.
Another couple guys near and dear to my heart.
Absolutely, as they are our hearts as well. And you got one standing right here ready to take over the mic, give you some cool stuff. Thanks for listening to Southern Kentucky's Great Outdoors there. Stay right here for Rock Castle Gun Show. It's Brian Webb saying goodbye from ESPN 102.7.